Across the vast landscapes of Africa, from bustling megacities to remote deserts, a silent revolution is taking place. Giant bridges, futuristic cities, and groundbreaking energy projects are rewriting the story of a continent. This is the countdown of the 100 most impressive mega projects in Africa, and we begin at number 100. At number 100, we circle Ouagadougou, the capital of Burkina Faso, where a living wall of green now surrounds the city. The Ouaga Greenbelt is a 2,000-hectare stretch of trees, gardens, and vegetable plots built to cool the city and combat the Sahara's advance. In a place where summer heat can soar above 45 degrees Celsius, this belt does more than shade. It feeds families, reduces dust storms, and gives urban farmers new livelihoods. Once neglected, this buffer zone has been revived under Traoré's leadership, transforming from dry scrubland into a thriving ecosystem. It's not a skyscraper or a dam, but a mega project of survival, a city breathing with green lungs. Number 99 takes us to Bobo Dioulasso, where thousands of gleaming panels capture the Sahelian sun. The Kodani Solar Power Station, commissioned in 2023, delivers 38 megawatts, enough to light up more than 115,000 households. Each year, it generates 73 gigawatt-hours of clean electricity while preventing 41,000 tons of carbon emissions. For a nation once shackled by energy imports, Kodani is not just a solar park, it is independence, resilience, and a spark of hope. Standing amidst the shimmering panels, one feels the magnitude. This is Burkina Faso turning sunlight into sovereignty. At 98, we cross the wide expanse of North Africa. The Trans-Maghreb Highway stretches over 1,200 kilometers, weaving through Algeria, Morocco, and Tunisia. For decades, politics divided the region, but on this road, trucks, buses, and cars flow freely, carrying with them the promise of unity. It links ports to inland factories, farms to cities, and people to opportunity. For the Maghreb, this superhighway is more than asphalt. It is a corridor of commerce and a bold reminder that infrastructure can unite even where diplomacy has stumbled. Number 97 may not look like a skyscraper, but it sustains life itself. Nairobi's water and sanitation projects, reservoirs, pipelines, and treatment plants are a fight for dignity in one of Africa's fastest-growing capitals. With each new reservoir, more homes have clean taps. With every treatment facility, fewer children fall ill. In a city adding hundreds of thousands of residents every year, water is survival and sanitation is safety. This project is not glamorous, but it is vital, ensuring Nairobi can grow without drowning in its own scarcity. At 96, we board a bus, but not the crowded, dusty buses of old. From Lagos to Dar es Salaam, Addis Ababa to Dakar, African cities are rolling out bus rapid transit systems. With dedicated lanes, modern stations, and eco-friendly fleets, BRT is giving commuters dignity and time. For the millions who cannot wait decades for metros or high-speed trains, BRT is a lifeline. It shows that sometimes the biggest revolutions come not from speed, but from accessibility, moving people, not just vehicles. At 95, we dream of a bridge not yet built, but already legendary. Kinshasa and Brazzaville are the only two capitals in the world that face each other across a river, yet remain divided by water. The planned Kinshasa-Brazzaville bridge will finally unite them, with both road and rail crossing the mighty Congo. Worth $550 million, it is more than an engineering challenge. It is symbolism in steel and stone. Two nations long separated will be joined, and a new chapter of integration will flow across the river. At number 94, we return to Burkina Faso's blazing sun, this time in the Boucle du Mouhoun region. The Zena Solar Power Station, completed in May 2024, adds 26.6 megawatts to the national grid. With an annual production of 33 gigawatt-hours, it brings power to 43,000 people who once lived in the dark. The project cost $42.5 million, but its true value is immeasurable. Light in schools, refrigeration in hospitals, and new jobs for local communities. In a landlocked nation facing hardship, Zena proves that resilience can be harvested from the sun itself. At 93, we go deep underground into one of the world's largest hidden networks. Libya's great man-made river taps fossil aquifers beneath the desert, piping water across thousands of kilometers to cities along the coast. Built in the 1980s, it remains a marvel, an oasis of engineering that supplies up to 70% of Libya's fresh water. Though vulnerable in times of conflict, it is a lifeline for millions. It is proof that even in one of the driest places on Earth, human determination can turn sand into survival. Number 92 takes us to Tunisia, where plans are underway for a port to rival the Mediterranean giants. The Enfida Deepwater Port, with its 20-meter deep berths, is designed to welcome the world's largest ships. Though still on the drawing board, its promise is immense, transforming Tunisia into a key node on global shipping lanes, attracting trade and investment from Europe, Asia, and beyond. Sometimes, the most impressive projects are not yet complete, but bold enough to reimagine an entire nation's future. And at number 91, we stay in Tunisia, where turbines hum with quiet precision. The Raids C combined cycle gas plant delivers clean, efficient power to thousands of homes and industries. By capturing waste heat and recycling it into energy, it squeezes maximum output from every molecule of gas. For a continent still struggling with blackouts, projects like Raids C are unsung heroes, keeping factories alive, hospitals running, and lights glowing in the night. It may not make headlines, but it makes history in the daily lives of Tunisians. At number 90, we enter the bustling port city of Abidjan. Here stands the Azito power plant, already one of West Africa's most important sources of energy. But the story doesn't end with its original turbines. Over the last decade, the site has undergone multiple expansions, adding state-of-the-art combined cycle gas turbines. Each new unit turns heat into power more efficiently, squeezing every ounce of energy out of natural gas. For Côte d'Ivoire, it means more than megawatts. It means dependable electricity for factories, schools, and households. In a region where blackouts were once routine, Azito is the quiet heartbeat of an industrial future. Number 89 takes us into the skies of Addis Ababa. Bole International Airport has long been the crown jewel of Ethiopian Airlines, the continent's most successful carrier. But as Africa's skies opened to millions of new passengers, Bole needed to grow. A massive expansion project doubled its passenger capacity, adding gleaming terminals, automated systems, and new runways designed for the largest aircraft in the world. It's not just an airport, it's Ethiopia's global front door, a hub where African travelers connect to Asia, Europe, and the Americas. In a world where connectivity is power, Bole is Addis's handshake with the planet. At 88, we hear the roar of stadiums. Algeria has invested heavily in upgrading its national sports complexes, building world-class arenas, Olympic villages, and training facilities. These projects aren't just concrete bowls for football, they are symbols of national pride. Hosting international tournaments, attracting tourism, and creating youth programs, Algeria's sports infrastructure is designed to inspire a new generation. For every child in Algiers who dreams of lifting a trophy, these mega projects are a promise that the country believes in their talent, their energy, and their future. Number 87 takes us onto the streets of Dakar. Imagine a city of 3 million people where traffic congestion can turn a 20-minute commute into a 2-hour nightmare. The bus rapid transit system is Senegal's answer. Modern stations, clean energy buses, and dedicated lanes stretching across the capital, this is mass transit reimagined. It carries hundreds of thousands daily, cutting both travel time and carbon emissions. But more than transport, it's about dignity. Workers arriving on time, students reaching school without exhaustion, families having more hours together. In Dakar, the BRT is not just a bus system, it's a social lifeline. At 86, we stand at one of the most complex pieces of road engineering in West Africa, the Pokwase interchange in Accra, Ghana. A 4-level, multi-directional interchange that untangles one of the capital's busiest traffic nodes. Before Pokwase, traffic jams were so severe that commuters spent hours just trying to cross. Today, the interchange soars like a concrete sculpture, guiding vehicles seamlessly across different highways. It's the first of its kind in the region, a symbol of Ghana's ambitions to modernize its infrastructure, and it proves that even a single road junction, if built right, can transform the rhythm of an entire city. Number 85 keeps us in Ghana, at the gateway city of Tema. The port here is one of West Africa's busiest, but the roads leading in and out had long become choke points. The Tema Motorway and Access Upgrade Project is about solving that problem. Expanded lanes, new interchanges, and safer crossings are making the artery between Accra and Tema more reliable than ever. For truckers carrying goods inland, it means fewer breakdowns and faster trips. For residents, it means safer streets and reduced congestion. What looks like asphalt and steel is really a promise that Ghana will keep pace with global trade. At 84, we ride into Nigeria's capital, Abuja. The city once boasted a metro system meant to carry thousands across its sprawling districts, but like many ambitious projects, it fell into disrepair. Today, Abuja Metro has been revived, modern trains humming along renewed tracks, stations reopening their doors, and commuters once again boarding a system built to ease congestion. It's a comeback story, proving that even when projects stumble, they can rise again. For a fast-growing capital where traffic once dictated daily life, the return of the metro is nothing short of a rebirth in motion. At number 83, we stay in Nigeria but shift to long-distance travel. The Abuja-Kaduna Standard Gauge Railway was the country's first modern SGR line, linking the capital to the north. Built to handle both passengers and freight, it transformed what was once a long, insecure road journey into a safe, fast, and comfortable ride. Stations along the route have sparked small economic booms, vendors, taxi drivers, and businesses thriving wherever the trains stop. In a country as vast as Nigeria, railways are more than transport. They are threads stitching together the nation's fabric. At 82, the skyline of Kigali glows with a futuristic dome. The Kigali Convention Center, with its radiant, beehive-inspired architecture, is more than a building. It's a symbol of Rwanda's rebirth. Inside its halls, international leaders gather for summits, investors sign deals, and innovators showcase African brilliance. Flanked by luxury hotels and high-tech meeting spaces, it has turned Kigali into one of Africa's leading conference destinations. For a country once synonymous with tragedy, the convention center tells a new story, one of resilience, hospitality, and forward vision. And at number 81, we remain in Rwanda. On a 61-hectare site, Kigali Innovation City is rising, a $2 billion tech hub designed to rival Silicon Valley. It will host universities, research labs, startups, and data centers, all powered by Rwanda's vision to be Africa's digital heart. More than glass towers and fiber optic cables, it's a mindset that Africa can invent, not just consume, that its youth can create apps, businesses, and breakthroughs for the world. Kigali Innovation City isn't just a project, it's a bet on the continent's brightest minds. At number 80, we arrive in Johannesburg, where golden trains glide across the landscape at speeds of up to 160 kilometers per hour. The Gautrain rapid rail system was South Africa's answer to gridlock, linking Johannesburg, Pretoria, and OR Tambo International Airport with world-class efficiency. Built as a public-private partnership, Gautrain became the first high-speed rail line in sub-Saharan Africa, introducing a new era of modern transit. For commuters, it was liberation, trading hours in traffic for minutes on the train. For South Africa, it was proof that African cities deserve world-class infrastructure too. Sleek, futuristic, and reliable, the Gautrain remains a shining symbol of African engineering ambition. Number 79 takes us to the dry plains of Limpopo, where 6 towering units of the Medupi power station dominate the horizon. At 4,800 megawatts, it is one of the largest coal-fired power plants in the world. The project was fraught with delays, controversies, and budget overruns, but its impact cannot be ignored. When fully online, Medupi alone could power an entire country the size of Namibia several times over. It embodies both the promise and the paradox of Africa's development, massive energy capacity built on coal, even as the world shifts toward renewables. Medupi stands as a reminder, Africa's growth must balance ambition with sustainability. At 78, we remain in South Africa, where the Kusile power station mirrors Medupi in both scale and ambition. Also designed to produce 4,800 megawatts, Kusile was built with some of the most advanced coal cleaning and emission control technologies in Africa. For years, rolling blackouts crippled South Africa's industries and households. Kusile was built to be the answer, to light homes, keep factories humming, and stabilize the fragile national grid. Though plagued with its own challenges, Kusile represents the sheer determination of a nation to keep its economy powered, no matter the cost. It's a monument to energy hunger, standing tall against the backdrop of a country in transition. At number 77, concrete pillars rise from the wild cliffs of South Africa's Eastern Cape. This is the Matentu Bridge, set to become one of Africa's longest and highest bridges. Stretching over a deep river gorge, its span will measure more than a kilometer, supported by soaring pylons and a cable-stayed design. But Matentu is more than an engineering marvel. It is a lifeline. It will connect isolated communities to national highways, reduce travel times dramatically, and open up the wild coast to tourism and trade. Standing at the edge of the gorge, you realize this project is about more than steel and cables. It is about conquering isolation with connectivity. At 76, just a few kilometers away, another wonder rises, the Msikaba Bridge. With a main span of 580 meters, it will be one of Africa's longest cable-stayed bridges. Its towering pylons will be visible for miles, a modern gateway to South Africa's scenic eastern seaboard. Construction here has not been easy. Steep cliffs, fierce winds, and complex geology have tested engineers at every turn. But once completed, Msikaba will transform the wild coast from a rugged frontier into a vital corridor of commerce. Together with Matentu, It will redefine what was once South Africa's most inaccessible region. At number 75, we move into the highlands of Lesotho, where mountain valleys are being turned into giant reservoirs. The Lesotho Highlands Water Project, now in its second phase, is one of Africa's most ambitious cross-border water engineering schemes. At its core is the Polyhali Dam, designed to capture and redirect billions of liters of water each year. This water flows through tunnels carved into mountains, feeding into South Africa's Gauteng province, the economic engine of the region. In return, Lesotho earns hydroelectric power and vital revenue. Water is often called blue gold, and here it is being harnessed as a shared treasure between two nations. At 74, we stand under the crackling hum of high-voltage power lines. The Teman Transmission Project is a 563-kilometer lifeline of electricity connecting southern Mozambique to its central and northern regions. For years, Mozambique's energy riches, hydro, gas, and solar, were stranded in the wrong places, while cities suffered from shortages. Temane changes that. By linking power sources to demand centers, it builds the backbone of a modern national grid, and beyond Mozambique, it plugs the country deeper into the southern African power pool, enabling electricity trade with neighbors. It's not just wires strung across pylons, it's energy equity in motion. At number 73, we dive offshore into the gas-rich Rovuma Basin of Mozambique. Here lies one of the largest LNG projects in Africa, Mozambique LNG, with reserves measured in the trillions of cubic feet. This project is designed to make Mozambique one of the top LNG exporters in the world. Though delayed by conflict and global shifts, work is resuming, with promises of billions in revenues, thousands of jobs, and new opportunities for industrialization. LNG may be invisible to the naked eye, but its impact will be felt in every school, hospital, and business that benefits from the wealth it generates. At 72, we remain in Mozambique, where innovation floats on the open ocean. The Coral South Floating LNG project is Africa's first deep-water floating liquefied natural gas platform. Imagine a massive city-sized vessel anchored 2,000 meters above the seabed, drilling, processing, and liquefying gas, all at sea. Completed in 2022, it exports LNG directly to global markets. This project is more than an engineering marvel. It is Mozambique's ticket to the Energy Super League, and it is a glimpse of the future, mobile, flexible, and futuristic solutions to harness Africa's abundant natural resources. And at number 71, we cross to the capital of Mozambique. Here stretches the Maputo-Katembe Bridge, the longest suspension bridge in Africa, at over 3 kilometers. Before the bridge, crossing from Maputo to Katembe required long ferry rides, prone to delays and danger. Today, vehicles glide across in minutes. This bridge has transformed Katembe from a sleepy suburb into a booming extension of the capital, unlocking land for housing, industry, and tourism. As the sun sets behind its soaring cables, the bridge looks less like concrete and steel and more like a promise that Mozambique is building connections to its future, one span at a time. At number 70, the sound of drums and cheering fills the air in Dakar. The Stade Abdoulaye Wade, named after Senegal's former president, is a 50,000-seat stadium built to world-class standards. Its design reflects modern Africa, bold, ambitious, and ready for the global stage. Opened in 2022, it has already hosted the Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers and international concerts. But it is more than just a sports arena. It is a gathering place for a nation that loves football, a temple where dreams of young players come alive. By building this stadium, Senegal declared to the world, Africa deserves arenas worthy of its champions. At number 69, we sail to the Gulf of Guinea, where the port of Cotonou has long been the heartbeat of Benin's economy. But in recent years, this port was losing ground, outdated, inefficient, and struggling to keep pace with trade. Enter the modernization project. New terminals, dredging of deeper channels, and high-tech cargo systems. Today, Cotonou is regaining its place as a gateway, not just for Benin, but for landlocked neighbors like Niger and Burkina Faso. Each container offloaded is more than goods. It is food, medicine, and tools of opportunity moving inland. Ports are lifelines, and Cotonou is being reborn as one of West Africa's busiest arteries. At 68, we dock at the shores of Togo, where Lomé is emerging as a transshipment giant. The expansion of Lomé's container terminals has transformed this modest port into one of the deepest and most efficient in West Africa. With a depth of 16 meters, it welcomes the world's largest vessels, something few African ports can boast. Every day, thousands of containers move through, connecting Africa's markets to Europe, Asia, and beyond. But for Togo, a small nation of only 8 million, this is more than steel cranes and shipping lanes. It is a bold leap into global trade, proving that even small countries can build infrastructure of global significance. Number 67 takes us inland, just outside Cotonou, to the Glojig Bay Industrial Zone, known as GDIs. Stretching across thousands of hectares, this mega-industrial park is dedicated to one mission: transforming Benin from an exporter of raw materials into a hub of finished goods. Textiles, cashews, and agro-processed products are already rolling off production lines, creating thousands of jobs. For decades, Africa exported resources cheaply and imported finished goods at a premium. GDIs is rewriting that story, teaching us that the real wealth lies in value addition. It's not just an industrial zone, it's a vision of Africa keeping more of its wealth at home. At number 66, steel pipes snake across savanna and farmland. The Niger-Benin export pipeline is one of the longest in Africa, stretching nearly 2,000 kilometers. Built to carry Niger's crude oil to the coast at Seme, it is transforming a landlocked country into an oil exporter with global reach. Along the route, villages watch as massive machinery lays the lifeline that will bring billions in revenue. For Niger, one of the world's poorest nations, this project is a game changer. But it also comes with responsibility: how to turn oil wealth into schools, hospitals, and industries, rather than another chapter of the resource curse. The pipeline is both promise and test. At number 65, we return to Nigeria, where the tracks of modern rail stretch farther north. The Abuja-Kaduna-Kano Railway is part of a larger vision, connecting Nigeria's capital with its northern economic heartland. Sleek, modern locomotives glide across the savannah, carrying passengers and freight faster and safer than ever before. Alongside it, the Abuja Metro is being revived, easing the daily grind for thousands of city dwellers. Together, they form a blueprint of Nigeria's transport future, rails not just as steel, but as veins of progress. Every station built is a marketplace in waiting, every train a symbol of a country refusing to stand still. At number 64, we cross into Uganda, where the River Nile, the world's longest river, meets modern engineering. The Jinja Nile Bridge, also called the Source of the Nile Bridge, is a graceful cable-stayed structure spanning 525 meters. Opened in 2018, its design gleams white under the African sun, a symbol of strength and elegance. For Uganda, it replaced a 60-year-old bridge that had become unsafe and congested. Today, trucks, buses, and cars flow smoothly, connecting Uganda to Kenya and the wider East African trade corridor. Standing on its walkway, one can feel both the majesty of the Nile and the promise of a nation moving forward. At number 63, we dock at Tanzania's busiest harbor, Dar es Salaam Port. For decades, it served as a vital gateway for landlocked neighbors like Zambia, Malawi, and the DRC. But inefficiencies, long queues, and outdated systems slowed progress. The modernization project has changed all that. New berths, dredged channels, digital cargo handling. Now, ships can offload faster, goods move inland quicker, and Tanzania strengthens its role as a logistics giant in East Africa. The port is more than concrete. It is a symbol of how improving one city's infrastructure can unlock prosperity across an entire region. At 62, we stay in Dar es Salaam, but step onto the streets. With over 6 million people, this city is bursting at its seams. Traffic was once a nightmare, choking productivity and fraying nerves. Enter the Bus Rapid Transit System, DART. Phase by phase, dedicated bus lanes, modern terminals, and fleets of clean buses are being rolled out. For the first time, commuters are moving reliably and affordably. Students reach schools on time, traders reach markets, and families gain back precious hours once lost in traffic. For Dar es Salaam, the BRT is not just a transport project, it is urban breathing space. And at number 61, we drive along a road under construction, but destined to be one of East Africa's most important. The Kampala-Jinja Expressway is designed as a modern 4-lane toll road, slicing through 95 kilometers of one of the busiest corridors in the region. It connects Uganda's capital to the Kenyan border, a lifeline for goods moving between Mombasa Port and the Great Lakes. For years, traffic on the old road caused delays stretching into hours. The expressway will cut travel times drastically, improve safety, and fuel economic integration. As Uganda builds this road, it is not just laying asphalt, it is paving a future of smoother, faster trade. At number 60, the River Nile once again becomes the stage for progress. The Isimba hydropower plant, commissioned in 2019, adds 183 megawatts of clean electricity to Uganda's grid. It may not be as large as other dams, but its impact is deeply felt. For rural communities, it means lights in schools, refrigeration in clinics, and power for small industries. Built with Chinese financing, Isimba is also part of Uganda's larger strategy to become a power exporter in the region. As its turbines spin, the Nile gives not just water, but energy, turning Africa's longest river into a current of opportunity. At 59, just downstream, another giant rises, the Karuma hydropower plant. With a plant capacity of 600 megawatts, Karuma is Uganda's largest power project to date. Built with massive underground tunnels and a complex spillway system, it is a hidden engineering marvel. For Uganda's growing population and industries, Karuma promises to end chronic power shortages and reduce reliance on costly fossil fuels. It is more than a dam. It is a bold declaration that Uganda intends to electrify its future, 1 megawatt at a time. At number 58, we speed into Nairobi, Kenya, on the iconic Thika superhighway. Once, the road from Nairobi to Thika was a narrow, jam-packed nightmare. Today, it is an 8-lane superhighway, a symbol of Kenya's ambition to modernize its transport. It has transformed suburbs into bustling towns, cut travel times by half, and fueled real estate booms along its corridor. More than concrete and asphalt, it has stitched together communities and powered Nairobi's northward expansion. The Thika superhighway was not just a road upgrade, it was the arrival of a new era for Kenya's urban growth. At 57, we dock at the pristine shores of Lamu, where a brand new deep-sea port rises from the Indian Ocean. Lamu Port is part of the ambitious LAPS-SET corridor, envisioned to connect Kenya to Ethiopia and South Sudan. With some of the deepest berths on Africa's east coast, Lamu can handle massive ships that Mombasa cannot. Already the first berths are operational, turning a sleepy archipelago into a strategic hub. Beyond shipping, it promises new jobs, trade, and a gateway for landlocked neighbors. Lamu Port is more than an engineering feat. It is a new compass point in East Africa's map of trade. At number 56, we move inland to the grasslands outside Nairobi, where a futuristic city is rising from scratch. Konza Technopolis, often called the Silicon Savannah, is Kenya's boldest bet on innovation. Spread across 5,000 acres, it is designed to host universities, data centers, research labs, and tech companies. Roads and fiber optic cables are already laid, and buildings are beginning to rise. For Kenya, Konza is not just about infrastructure. It is about inspiring a generation of innovators to build African solutions for African problems. Standing here feels like looking at the blueprint of Africa's digital future. At 55, we cross north to Egypt, where entirely new cities are rising from the desert. New Alamein and New Mansoura are not simply housing projects. They are visions of urban reinvention. Designed with skyscrapers, marinas, universities, and vast residential districts, they are meant to relieve pressure on the crowded Nile Valley. New Alamein sits proudly on the Mediterranean, with its skyline already glittering, while New Mansoura hugs the northern delta. Together, they symbolize Egypt's bold attempt to spread its population and create smart, modern cities for millions of future citizens. At number 54, history meets modern architecture. The Grand Egyptian Museum, set near the pyramids of Giza, is the largest archaeological museum ever built. Its vast halls will house treasures that have never before been displayed, including the complete collection from King Tutankhamun's tomb. Designed with glass facades and monumental spaces, the museum bridges Egypt's ancient past with its modern identity. For visitors, it will be more than a museum. It will be an epic journey through the story of one of the world's oldest civilizations. Egypt is not just preserving its heritage, it is sharing it with the world in a space built for awe. At 53, we sail into one of the most strategic waterways on Earth, the Suez Canal. In 2015, Egypt completed a massive expansion, adding a new lane and deepening existing channels to allow two-way traffic. This single project shortened waiting times, boosted capacity, and increased revenues dramatically. But beyond numbers, it reinforced Egypt's role as a global trade gateway, where 10% of world shipping passes. The Suez expansion was not just about ships, it was about sovereignty, pride, and ensuring Egypt's place at the center of global commerce. At number 52, we dive beneath the streets of Cairo. The Cairo Metro, one of only 2 full metro systems in Africa, is expanding with Line 3. Stretching across the city, it eases congestion for millions of daily commuters. The project is not just about trains, it is about reclaiming hours lost in traffic, reducing pollution, and connecting sprawling districts of one of Africa's largest megacities. Underground, sleek modern trains glide silently past murals and stations, symbolizing Cairo's determination to modernize while serving its people with dignity. And at number 51, we arrive on the Red Sea shores of Djibouti. Here lies the Dorala and Damerjog Industrial and Port Complex, a mega cluster of terminals, refineries, and industrial parks. Built with billions in foreign investment, this project positions Djibouti as a maritime and energy hub for the Horn of Africa. It is not just a port, it is a strategy, leveraging geography at the crossroads of Africa, Asia, and Europe. Every ship that docks here strengthens Djibouti's role as a tiny nation with outsized influence in global trade. In the silence of the desert, the cranes and pipelines tell a story of ambition without borders. At number 50, a ribbon of asphalt stretches across the Maghreb. The east-west highway of Algeria spans over 1,200 kilometers, running parallel to the Mediterranean coast. It is one of the most expensive road projects in Africa's history, costing more than $11 billion. 6 lanes wide, it connects Algeria's bustling cities, Algiers, Oran, Constantine, while also linking Morocco and Tunisia. For decades, travel across Algeria was slow, fragmented, and inefficient. Today, the east-west highway binds the nation together, transforming journeys that once took days into mere hours. More than a road, it is a modern spine of Algeria's economy, driving trade, tourism, and unity across the Maghreb. At number 49, a minaret rises into the sky, taller than any in the world. The Great Mosque of Algiers, Jama el Jazair, is not only a house of worship, but a staggering architectural landmark. Its minaret stands 265 meters high, dwarfing the skyline of Algiers. Inside, the mosque can host 120,000 worshippers, its halls adorned with marble, mosaics, and chandeliers. Built at a cost of nearly $1 billion, it is a fusion of faith and national pride. For Algeria, it is more than a mosque. It is a statement to the world that North Africa can build structures as grand and enduring as the wonders of the past. At number 48, land is literally being reclaimed from the sea. In Lagos, the Lekki-Ipi corridor is being transformed into an industrial and residential powerhouse. Here lies the Lekki Free Trade Zone, a cluster of factories, refineries, and logistics hubs. But just offshore, another marvel is rising, Echo Atlantic City. Built on reclaimed land from the Atlantic Ocean, it is envisioned as Africa's Dubai. Skyscrapers, luxury districts, and business towers rising from the waves. Designed to house 250,000 people, Echo Atlantic is not just a real estate project. It is a battle against climate change, protecting Lagos from the rising sea while creating a city of the future. At number 47, steel pipes carve a path across northern Nigeria. The AKK gas pipeline is a 614-kilometer lifeline designed to transport natural gas from the south to the energy-hungry north. Valued at over $2.5 billion, it will fuel power plants, feed industries, and create new economic zones. For decades, Nigeria has flared its gas, wasting resources and polluting the skies. The AKK pipeline is part of a new vision, turning wasted energy into wealth. Every weld, every section of pipeline represents hope that Nigeria's energy abundance will finally benefit its people. At number 46, airplanes glide onto runways that stretch across the Angolan plains. The Luanda New International Airport, one of the largest in Africa, cost nearly $5 billion and is designed to handle 15 million passengers a year. Built with multiple runways, ultra-modern terminals, and cargo facilities, it is set to make Luanda a hub for southern Africa. For Angola, long dependent on oil, this airport represents diversification, a gateway for tourism, trade, and business. As its terminals fill with travelers from across the world, the new airport tells a clear story. Angola is open, connected, and ready for a new chapter. At number 45, we sail back to West Africa, to the sandy coast south of Dakar. Here, Senegal is building the port of Ndayane, a $1.1 billion deep-sea port developed with global partners. It will be the largest port in West Africa, once complete, capable of hosting massive container ships and relieving congestion from Dakar's existing port. For Senegal, this port is more than cargo space. It is a national strategy to become a logistics hub for the entire region. Each crane, each dockyard, carries the promise of jobs, investment, and trade flows that will ripple far into the future. At number 44, a train whistles across the Kenyan savannah. The Mombasa-Nairobi Standard Gauge Railway, completed in 2017, was one of the largest infrastructure projects in Kenya's history. Costing nearly $4 billion, the electrified railway slashed travel times between the port city of Mombasa and Nairobi from 12 hours to just 4. For passengers, it is a comfortable, modern experience. For freight, it is efficiency personified, and for Kenya, it is an artery of commerce, moving goods inland and fueling the economy. The railway has also inspired expansions toward Naivasha and beyond, making it the backbone of Kenya's transport future. At number 43, elevated highways snake above the chaos of Nairobi traffic. The Nairobi Expressway is a 27-kilometer toll road built under a public-private partnership with Chinese investors. Sleek, elevated lanes stretch across the city, offering relief to commuters long trapped in endless jams. For years, Nairobi was infamous for its gridlock, where hours were lost daily. Today, the expressway slices through the city like a silver river, saving time, boosting productivity, and redefining how a capital can move. More than just asphalt, it is a bold experiment in PPP financing, proving that private capital can build Africa's highways of tomorrow. At number 42, deep in Ghana's Ashanti region, an inland port is rising. The Tema Bwankra project is designed to link the coastal port of Tema with the landlocked Sahel through rail and road. Covering hundreds of hectares, it will house warehouses, customs facilities, and logistics terminals. Once complete, cargo can be cleared inland, reducing congestion at Tema and boosting trade efficiency for Ghana and its neighbors. For farmers and traders from Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, this inland port is a doorway to the sea. For Ghana, it is proof that ports don't always have to be on the coast, they can be in the heart of the land, too. And at number 41, we dock in Abidjan, where a brand new container terminal has doubled the port's capacity. The second container terminal, TC2, is part of a billion-dollar expansion that allows Abidjan to handle mega ships for the first time. Already one of West Africa's busiest ports, Abidjan is now cementing its role as a regional powerhouse. With state-of-the-art cranes, deep berths, and expanded logistics, it is transforming Côte d'Ivoire into a hub for global trade. Every container stacked in Abidjan represents opportunity for exporters, for importers, and for a country rising from civil conflict into prosperity. At number 40, the coast of Cameroon has been transformed by the Kribi deep-sea port. Unlike the shallow ports of Douala, Kribi is designed to host the world's largest ships, with berths reaching 16 meters deep. But the port is only the beginning. Surrounding it is an ambitious industrial zone, steel plants, power stations, and logistics centers. For Cameroon, Kribi is a bold leap from a resource exporter to an industrial player. Each container unloaded here is not just cargo, it is a building block for the nation's future, anchoring Central Africa to the arteries of global trade. At 39, we remain in Cameroon, where the mighty Sanaga River is being harnessed by the Nachtigal hydropower plant. With a capacity of 420 megawatts, this project will increase the country's electricity generation by 30%. Built as a public-private partnership, it represents a new model for financing African infrastructure. For families living in darkness, Nachtigal means light. For industries hampered by blackouts, it means productivity. And for Cameroon's economy, it means resilience. As its turbines roar to life, Nachtigal is not just about generating power, it is about energizing possibility. At number 38, steam rises from the earth in Kenya's Great Rift Valley. The Olkaria geothermal complex is one of the largest geothermal fields in the world and a global leader in renewable energy. Tapping into volcanic heat, Olkaria produces over 800 megawatts of electricity, clean, reliable, and homegrown. Kenya now generates over 40% of its power from geothermal, more than almost any country on Earth. It is a reminder that Africa's natural gifts are not just in oil or minerals, but deep beneath the ground where heat becomes hope. In Olkaria, the Earth itself breathes light into Kenyan homes. At 37, the wind whistles across northern Kenya's barren plains. Here, 365 turbines stand tall, forming the Lake Turkana Wind Power Project, the largest wind farm in Africa. Generating 310 megawatts, it supplies nearly 17% of Kenya's power needs. But beyond numbers, it is a story of transformation. Remote regions connected by new roads, local communities gaining jobs and schools, and an entire nation proving that renewables can work at scale. Lake Turkana's winds are fierce, relentless, and now they are the breath that powers a modern Kenya. At 36, a web of high-voltage cables stretches across two nations. The Ethiopia-Kenya Power Interconnector, a 500 kilovolt transmission line, now links the two countries' grids. Capable of transferring up to 2,000 megawatts, it is the backbone of the East Africa power pool. For Ethiopia, rich in hydropower, it means exporting surplus energy. For Kenya, it means cheaper, greener electricity. And for the region, it is a step toward continental integration, a future where African countries trade energy as easily as they trade goods. This is not just a line of pylons, it is the start of a shared electrical future. At number 35, the Omo River carves its way through southern Ethiopia. Here rises the Koisha Dam, a hydropower project with a planned capacity of 2,160 megawatts. Built alongside the Gaib Cascade, Koisha will form part of Ethiopia's strategy to become the powerhouse of Africa. With giant turbines hidden in its walls, it will deliver electricity to millions while creating irrigation opportunities downstream. It is a reminder that Ethiopia is not just building dams, it is building identity. Each reservoir, each megawatt, is a step toward a nation powered by its rivers. At number 34, sleek trains glide silently through the streets of Addis Ababa. This is the Addis Ababa Light Rail Transit, the first of its kind in sub-Saharan Africa. At 34 kilometers long, it cuts through the city, easing congestion and offering modern transport to thousands daily. For Addis, a city growing at breakneck speed, the light rail is not just infrastructure, it is relief. It shows that African cities can build transit systems once thought exclusive to Europe or Asia. Standing in its stations, you feel a quiet revolution. Urban Africa refusing to be left behind. At number 33, we follow the tracks eastward to the Addis Ababa-Djibouti Railway. At 752 kilometers, it is the first fully electrified railway in Africa. It links landlocked Ethiopia to the port of Djibouti, slashing freight times from days to hours. This railway is not just a line on the map, it is Ethiopia's lifeline to the sea, carrying goods, fuel, and people. For Djibouti, it cements its role as a logistics hub. For Ethiopia, it secures its survival as a trading nation. More than steel and electricity, it is a cord that ties two nations together. At 32, we enter the realm of the extraordinary. Morocco is planning to send its sunlight and wind across continents to the United Kingdom. The X-Links project will build a 3,800-kilometer subsea cable, transmitting 3.6 gigawatts of renewable power. At $22 billion, it is one of the most ambitious energy projects in history. Imagine, solar panels shimmering in the Sahara, wind turbines spinning along Morocco's coasts, all powering homes in London. This is more than a project. It is a bold declaration that Africa's renewable resources are not just for Africa, but for the world. It is Africa's energy, exported as hope. And at number 31, we land in Rwanda, where a new airport is set to redefine regional aviation. The Bugesera International Airport, outside Kigali, is being built with a $1.3 billion investment in partnership with Qatar Airways. Designed to handle 8 million passengers annually, it will make Rwanda a hub for Africa's skies. For a small landlocked country, aviation is more than transport. It is survival. Bugesera is Rwanda's invitation to the world. Come for business, come for tourism, come for opportunity. Each runway laid is a runway to Rwanda's future, a nation determined to soar beyond its borders. At number 30, we step into the desert east of Cairo, where an entire new city is rising from the sands. Egypt's new administrative capital is one of the most ambitious urban projects in the world. Stretching over 700 square kilometers, it will house government ministries, embassies, and more than 6 million residents. At its heart stands the iconic tower, the tallest building in Africa, piercing the sky at 385 meters. The city is designed as a smart capital with green energy, digital infrastructure, and futuristic transport. For Egypt, this isn't just about moving out of Cairo's congestion. It is about announcing to the world that a new seat of power is being built, one worthy of its ancient legacy and modern ambitions. At 29, waves crash against the Atlantic shores of southern Morocco, where a $1 billion deep-water port is under construction. The Dakhla Atlantic port will host massive container ships, oil terminals, and fishing fleets, turning this once remote region into a hub of global trade. Beyond trade, it is also a strategic move, placing Morocco at the crossroads of shipping routes linking Europe, Africa, and the Americas. When complete, it will open opportunities for fisheries, renewable energy exports, and logistics. Standing on the desert coast today, one sees cranes, breakwaters, and ships, but in the mind's eye, one sees an Atlantic powerhouse in the making. At number 28, we stay in Morocco. Rising on the Mediterranean is the Nador West Med Port, a $1.6 billion mega project that combines container shipping, energy terminals, and industrial zones. Designed to rival Tangier Med, it will handle millions of containers each year while also storing and exporting oil and gas products. Its location near Europe makes it a strategic hub, boosting Morocco's role as a maritime bridge between Africa and Europe. But it's not just about ships and cranes, it is about jobs, about industries growing around the port, and about Morocco's determination to turn its coasts into engines of prosperity. At 27, containers rise like skyscrapers on Ghana's coastline. The Tema port expansion, anchored by the MPS Terminal 3, has transformed Ghana into a deep-water hub for West Africa. With capacity for over 3.5 million TEU annually, it can now host the largest ships in the world. Tema is no longer just a port. It is a city within a city, with highways, logistics centers, and industrial parks built around it. For West Africa's traders and farmers, Tema is the bridge that connects cocoa, minerals, and manufactured goods to the global market. With every container lifted, Ghana strengthens its grip on the arteries of world trade. At number 26, we drive across a vision of regional unity. The Abidjan-Lagos Corridor Highway stretches over 1,000 kilometers, linking 5 nations: Côte d'Ivoire, Ghana, Togo, Benin, and Nigeria. Valued at $15 billion, it will carry more than 75% of West Africa's trade and serve 40 million people. Imagine traveling from Abidjan to Lagos in hours rather than days. Trucks moving cocoa, cotton, and goods seamlessly across borders. This is not just a road, it is integration in motion. It is ECOWAS's dream of one connected West Africa, built in asphalt and concrete, carrying with it the promise of prosperity. At 25, the horizon of Zimbabwe glows with the light of new power. The Hwanga Power Station, long the backbone of the nation's electricity supply, has been expanded with units 7 and 8, adding 600 megawatts to the grid. Completed in 2023, this project has been a lifeline for a nation plagued by power cuts. For industries, it means stability. For families, it means fewer nights in darkness. Hwanga may still run on coal, but for Zimbabwe, it is a bridge, a way to stabilize the present while looking toward a future of renewable expansion. It is not perfect, but it is powerful, and it keeps Zimbabwe moving forward. At number 24, the waters of Zambia's Kafue River thunder through turbines. The Kafue Gorge Lower Hydropower Plant, commissioned in 2021, delivers 750 megawatts of electricity, enough to light millions of homes. Built for $2 billion, it is one of Zambia's largest ever infrastructure projects. For years, Zambia suffered from rolling blackouts, industries forced to halt production, and households left in the dark. Kafue Gorge Lower changed that, stabilizing the grid and powering the copper mines that fueled the nation's economy. It is a project where water is transformed into light and rivers become rivers of progress. At 23, the Zambezi River becomes a story of unity. The Kazungula Bridge, completed in 2021, stretches nearly a kilometer across the river, linking Zambia and Botswana with a sweeping curved cable-stayed design. But this bridge is more than beautiful architecture. It is a revolution in trade. Before Kazungula, trucks waited days to cross by ferry. Today, with a one-stop border post, goods flow smoothly across southern Africa. It is part of the North-South corridor, connecting South Africa to the rest of the continent. Kazungula is not just a bridge, it is a handshake in steel, binding nations closer together. At number 22, steel rails cut across southern Africa in one of the most strategic corridors on the continent. The Lobito Corridor connects Angola's Atlantic coast to the copper belt of Zambia and the cobalt mines of the DRC. With new concessions awarded in 2023, the line is being modernized to handle millions of tons of minerals for export. But it is not only about mining, it is about farmers, traders, and communities gaining access to new markets. In Lobito, Africa is building not just a railway, but an artery of prosperity, a line that connects the interior to the sea and Africa to the world. And at number 21, we arrive at the banks of the Kwanza River in Angola. Here, the Kakulo Kabata hydropower plant is rising, a massive 2,172 megawatt dam, one of the largest in Africa. Built at a cost of nearly $5 billion, it will provide the baseload power needed to drive Angola's industries and cities. The dam's tunnels and turbines represent a triumph of engineering, cutting through mountains and channeling Africa's waters into controlled power. For Angola, rich in oil but long in need of diversified energy, Kakulo Kabasa is the crown jewel, a project that will electrify not just the present, but the nation's future. At number 20, the Atlantic Ocean hides a treasure beneath its waves. The Greater Tortue Ahmeyim LNG project, straddling the waters of Senegal and Mauritania, is a $5 billion endeavor that taps into vast offshore gas reserves. With floating platforms and subsea pipelines, it is a marvel of marine engineering. Once fully operational, it will produce 2.5 million tons of liquefied natural gas each year, destined for both African and global markets. For two nations that once stood outside the world's energy map, GTA is a new chapter. Billions in revenue, thousands of jobs, and the chance to power homes and industries. It is not just an LNG plant, it is the ocean itself turned into prosperity. At 19, we board a train gliding out of Dakar's central station. The TER, Train Express Regional, is West Africa's most modern commuter rail system. Its sleek carriages whisk passengers from Dakar to Blaise Diagne International Airport in just 45 minutes, cutting through congestion that once trapped the city in gridlock. Built in phases, the TER now carries tens of thousands daily, bringing reliability, dignity, and modernity to urban travel. For Dakar, a city growing at breakneck speed, the TER is not just infrastructure, it is liberation, a signal that African capitals can and must match the efficiency of the world's greatest metros. At number 18, spanning the waters of Lake Victoria, the Kigongo-Busisi Bridge is Tanzania's longest, stretching 3.2 kilometers. Before the bridge, ferries carried vehicles and people across, a journey slow, unreliable, and sometimes dangerous. Now steel and concrete unite two shores, opening up the lake zone to trade, tourism, and connection. When complete, it will slash travel times, reduce costs, and give millions a direct link to the rest of the country. For fishermen, farmers, and traders, the Kigongo-Busisi Bridge is more than infrastructure. It is a promise that isolation will no longer define their lives. At 17, we enter a vision so vast it spans countries. The Lapset Corridor, Lamu Port, South Sudan, Ethiopia Transport Corridor. Valued at over $24 billion, it is one of Africa's largest infrastructure programs. Anchored by Lamu Port, the project includes highways, railways, pipelines, and new cities. The goal is bold: to open up northern Kenya, connect landlocked South Sudan and Ethiopia to the sea, and transform East Africa's trade map. It is a corridor of opportunity, a lifeline of concrete, steel, and tarmac that stretches across deserts, forests, and savannas. Lapset is not just a project, it is a dream of integration, written in asphalt and ambition. At number 16, futuristic trains glide above the crowded streets of Cairo on sleek elevated tracks. The Cairo monorail is nearly 100 kilometers long, making it the longest driverless monorail system in the world, linking the new administrative capital to eastern Cairo and the 6th of October city to the west. It is designed to carry hundreds of thousands daily. Its stations gleam with modernity. Its carriages whisper silently over the city. In a metropolis where traffic has long stolen hours of life, the monorail gives something precious back: time. Cairo is no longer just looking at its past, it is riding into its future. At 15, we descend into the bustling streets of Abidjan, where a brand new metro system is under construction. The Abidjan Metro, beginning with Line 1 at 37 kilometers, will be the first full metro in Francophone West Africa. Costing nearly $2 billion, it will carry 500,000 passengers daily when completed. For a city of 5 million people, where traffic jams choke productivity, the metro is a revolution. It is not just about speed, it is about dignity, opportunity, and confidence in a modern African future. Each tunnel dug is more than engineering. It is a pathway to the future of urban West Africa. At number 14, steel pipes wind across East Africa's savannas. The East African Crude Oil Pipeline, EACOP, stretches 1,443 kilometers from Uganda's Lake Albert oil fields to Tanzania's port of Tanga. At $5 billion, it is the world's longest heated oil pipeline, designed to carry 216,000 barrels per day. For Uganda, it is a long-awaited gateway to global markets. For Tanzania, it is billions in transit revenues and jobs. Yet EACOP is also one of Africa's most controversial projects, facing criticism over climate impact and land rights. It stands as both promise and paradox, a project that can fuel development but challenges us to ask, at what cost? At 13, we cross the mighty Niger River on one of Nigeria's proudest achievements, the Second Niger Bridge. At 1.6 kilometers long and costing over $1 billion, it finally solved a decades-long traffic nightmare. For years, the old Niger Bridge was choked with vehicles, especially during festive seasons, trapping travelers for hours. The new bridge offers relief, speed, and safety, a modern lifeline between eastern and western Nigeria. It is more than concrete across water. It is unity, it is commerce, it is a symbol of government finally delivering on a promise made generations ago. At number 12, we enter the bustling city of Lagos, Africa's largest metropolis. Here, the Lagos Rail Mass Transit System is rewriting the story of urban mobility. The Blue Line opened in 2023, gliding across a 27-kilometer track from Marina to Mile 2. The Red Line followed in 2024, linking key corridors of the city. Together, they serve millions, cutting through traffic that once consumed lives. For Lagosians, stepping into sleek air-conditioned carriages feels like stepping into the future. This is not just rail, it is relief for a city bursting with energy, industry, and ambition. And at number 11, we dock at one of Africa's newest maritime giants. The Lekki Deep Sea Port, completed in 2023, is Nigeria's first fully deep water port, built at a cost of $1.5 billion. With its ability to host the largest container ships in the world, it is transforming Lagos into a global logistics hub. Surrounded by the Lekki Free Trade Zone, it will spark industries, create tens of thousands of jobs, and inject billions into the economy. For Nigeria, long plagued by congested shallow ports, Lekki is more than a harbor. It is a gateway to global trade, a bold declaration that Africa's biggest economy is ready to compete on the world stage. At number 10, the desert outside Aswan blazes with light, but not from the sun alone. The Benban Solar Park, stretching across 37 square kilometers, is one of the largest solar farms in the world. With a capacity of 1.5 gigawatts, it powers millions of homes with clean, renewable energy. Thousands of solar panels shimmer like a sea of glass, turning sunlight into prosperity. Benban is more than a power plant. It is Africa declaring its place in the renewable revolution. In a world shifting away from fossil fuels, the Sahara's sunlight is becoming Egypt's greatest export. At number 9, the sands of Morocco's Ouarzazate Desert reflect a dazzling vision. The Noor Solar Complex, nearly 600 megawatts of concentrated solar and photovoltaic energy, is one of the largest of its kind on Earth. Its vast parabolic mirrors track the sun, storing heat and molten salts that keep electricity flowing even after dark. It is science fiction made real, a futuristic solution to the timeless African challenge of power. For Morocco, Noor is not just energy independence, it is a beacon, proving that Africa can lead in cutting-edge renewable technology. At number 8, cargo cranes rise like a forest of steel along Morocco's northern coast. The Tangier Med Port Complex is Africa's largest port, handling over 10 million containers annually. But it is more than a port, it is a city of logistics with free trade zones, automotive factories, and industrial clusters surrounding it. From here, cars roll off assembly lines and onto ships bound for Europe and beyond. Tangier Med has transformed Morocco into a global logistics hub, a bridge between Africa and Europe. It is the gateway where the continent shakes hands with the world. At number 7, trains thunder across the plains of East Africa. Tanzania's standard gauge railway, stretching thousands of kilometers, is one of the continent's largest transport projects. Designed for both passengers and freight, it links Dar es Salaam to Dodoma, Mwanza, and eventually to Rwanda and Burundi. At a cost of over $10 billion, it is one of the most ambitious railway projects in Africa's history. For Tanzania, it is not just about steel on tracks, it is about transforming into a regional trade powerhouse, connecting the heart of Africa to the Indian Ocean. The SGR is not just a railway, it is the future of East African integration. At number 6, deep in the Rufiji River Basin, a colossus of concrete and steel rises. The Julius Nyerere hydropower plant, formerly known as Stiegler's Gorge, will generate 2,115 megawatts, more than doubling Tanzania's current electricity supply. Built at nearly $3 billion, it is a project as controversial as it is monumental, reshaping ecosystems even as it promises industrialization. Yet for Tanzania, this dam is a symbol of sovereignty, of ambition, of a future where power shortages no longer limit progress. The Rufiji River, once flowing unrestrained, is now being channeled into the lifeblood of a nation's development. At number 5, the mountains of Guinea hold riches that have lured giants from across the world. The Simandou Iron Ore Project is the largest undeveloped iron ore deposit on Earth, with billions of tons of high-grade ore. Valued at nearly $20 billion, the project includes 650 kilometers of new railway and a deep-water port. When complete, Simandou will make Guinea one of the top suppliers of iron ore, the essential ingredient of steel. For a country long burdened by poverty, Simandou is a ticket to industrial relevance. Yet it is also a test. Can Guinea turn minerals into prosperity rather than another curse? At number 4, a new energy dawn rises on the Mediterranean coast of Egypt. The El Dabaa nuclear power plant, built with Russian expertise, will deliver 4.8 gigawatts of electricity. It is Africa's first nuclear power plant, a step into the future of atomic energy. For Egypt, it is not just about power. It is about prestige, science, and security. El Dabaa represents a bold leap, positioning Egypt as one of the few African nations daring to harness nuclear technology for peaceful energy. It is a plant built not just to light homes, but to light ambition itself. At number 3, the Nile itself is being harnessed by one of the most talked about projects in modern African history. The Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, GERD, towers at 145 meters high, creating a reservoir stretching over 1,800 square kilometers. With a capacity of 6,450 megawatts, it is the largest hydropower project in Africa. For Ethiopia, it is pride, independence, and energy sovereignty. For downstream nations, it is a controversy, a source of geopolitical tension. But above all, GERD is a testament to Ethiopia's resolve, a vision that no matter the opposition, Africa has the right to power its own destiny. At number 2, we board a train that is rewriting Africa's future of mobility. Egypt's high-speed rail network, a 2,000-kilometer system costing $23 billion, is Africa's first true bullet train. It will link the Red Sea to the Mediterranean, Cairo to Alexandria, and the capital to Luxor and Aswan. Sleek electric trains will glide at 250 kilometers per hour, cutting journeys that once took hours into mere minutes. It is not just speed, it is sustainability, electrification, and efficiency. Egypt is proving that African nations can build railways to rival Europe and Asia. It is not just a railway, it is a revolution in motion. And at number 1, we arrive in Lagos, Nigeria, at the colossal Dangote refinery. Valued at nearly $20 billion, it is the largest single-train refinery in the world, capable of processing 650,000 barrels of crude oil daily. For decades, Africa's largest oil producer imported its fuel, trapped in a paradox of poverty amid plenty. Dangote refinery shatters that cycle. With vast tanks, sprawling pipelines, and towers rising like a futuristic city, it will not only supply Nigeria, but export fuel across Africa. It is more than steel and oil. It is a symbol of self-reliance, a monument to African ambition, and the ultimate mega-project of the continent. From the deserts of Morocco shimmering with solar fields, to Ethiopia's rivers dammed into megawatts of power. From the highways of Algeria that stitch a nation together, to the deep-sea ports of Nigeria, Senegal, and Ghana connecting Africa to the world. From futuristic capitals built in Egypt to innovation cities rising in Rwanda, these 100 projects are not just feats of engineering, they are chapters in a larger story. A story of a continent that refuses to be defined by its past struggles, but instead by its vision of the future. Africa's mega projects are more than concrete, steel, and glass. They are symbols of hope. They are bridges between yesterday and tomorrow. They are proof that the world's youngest continent is also its most ambitious, and as Africa builds, it is not only reshaping its own destiny, it is reshaping the destiny of the world. This is Africa rising. This is Africa building. This is Africa's century.